I think as a child, I've always been a person who loves breaking and making things. And apparently an idea or a bad habit became a career. Coming to realize that the lack of exposure in our country, especially when it comes to STEM, has been a challenge. I really thought it would be a good idea to bring the exposure that I had outside from my university time to Tanzania and spark a movement where people will actually be able to work on solutions themselves practically. I have a bachelor's in mechatronics and robotics engineering from Manipal University. I've been working in Dar es Salaam for the past 6 years of my life, and my mentor, Dr. Hassan Mshinda, he was basically monitoring what I was doing in Dar es Salaam. He told me there will be a time that you'll have to move and go to a region where your expertise will be needed. In 2021 is when he told me it's time. He told me Tanga. I'm like, out of all the places, why Tanga? He says this is a region that has never been tapped before. It hasn't been exposed to what you have been doing, and the people need it. Why don't you make Tanga the next Shenzhen? When anyone comes to Tanga, they know this is a place or a region that can get anything made. And those are just switching on light bulbs in my head, and he was speaking what I wanted to hear. I decided that, this is it. Some of the challenges that I was facing in Tanga was, I think the first problem is the exposure. You're working with students or people or young or youth in the vocational spaces who haven't had a computer literacy, right? So you're asking someone to write a line of code for you in your training, and the first thing they ask you is, teacher, how to start my computer? How to start the laptop? And that's the first challenge that I had, because the objective of the project for me was immediately to start deploying these things. But little did I know that I had to backtrack a lot of my work to ensure that people were up to par. And that was worrying for me, because I didn't want anyone to be left behind. Getting an ideal location where people would be able to access it easily, in a center or somewhere where they would find it easy to come to. And we struggled for a good few months getting that space. I want people to know that there's a space where they can envision something in their mind practically. The main thing that you'd want to know here is, can I make this in Tanzania? Can I manufacture it in Tanzania? Can it be assembled in Tanzania? For me, I do sound very patriotic about Tanzania, but at the same time, very patriotic about my people that I work with. I want people to believe in themselves, that something that is an idea in their head can be envisioned and can be seen tangibly in their hands. And at the end, we want to establish what we call cooperatives or community-led initiatives, where someone will come, wholeheartedly learn the project, and is willing to share the same knowledge with others to create a more like a domino effect. They should be able to learn how to code, programming skills. It's just the world is changing today. It is getting very digitalized. So the basics that people should be knowing right now is some level of programming, or even a language of programming. When you enter the hardware side, we look at things or tools of fabrication, using like a welding machine, power tools, and so forth. And then in the same hardware, we actually have fabrication machines. We're the first official established fab lab in Tanzania. We are being accredited by the University of MIT in the States. A fab lab is an accredited space that has relevant tools and resources that enable people to actually bring those ideas to life. So one of the things that we have, and I'm very proud to say we have, are the necessary tools that you would find in many industries or factories or warehouses on a bigger scale that are easily available in our space, number one. Number two is we don't ask for any financial payments, right? Well, in fact, what we do is we invite people to learn about a particular project. So rather than saying, I'm offering a course on woodworking, our approach would be, would you want to make a smart chair, or a chair that's foldable, or a nice tool rack of your own? Instead, we actually approach it from a project perspective. Would you want to learn how to tailor a nice outfit? Would you want to learn how to make your own circuit board? In animal feed, the most essential or highest constituent element is protein. And currently, the local community uses something called daga in Swahili, or they call it, I think, small sardines, and soya. We thought that we could actually use fly farming to create protein using the larvae that they have. So organic food waste is actually the input for this project, not the output. So we use organic food waste we collect from the schools or from the hotels, feed our larvae with it. The larvae grow, and then this larva is actually mixed and with animal feed. So your protein is already covered, and at no cost, because organic waste is easily found and it's free. The flies can be easily caught from our environment, and the only thing you have to do is rear them for a good 2 weeks, and after every 2 weeks you harvest. Mama Bora, she was amongst the attendees for the training. She took 6 nets on a loan. After 1.5 or 2 months, she paid back all her loans. In exchange, she started another 10 groups of women who actually did the same project through her, and she did it at the same no cost for them. So that was something that really, really caught my attention in agriculture. I said, this is what we need to do more often now. Get more women, get more youth into these areas as well. Coming into health, so we decided to 3D print and design fetoscopes, which a doctor would use or a nurse would use to hear the sound of the infant in the mother's womb. And they loved it. They said, this is a tool that we need to carry in our pockets all the time, everywhere we go in the maternal ward. Now, if you go to these hostels, you actually see a small blue cone-like structure that they carry in their pockets.
Some of the projects that I did, it is an alarm system or emergency system kept in hospitals for the nurses to communicate with the patients. I was the one who implemented the idea. So the whole idea was making a simple, cheap, available and efficient hospital wiring system for them. So for the hospital wiring system, it's basically an Arduino. As a prototype, I created it using the Arduino Uno, whereby I just created a receiver and a transmitter at first, whereby we're using radio frequencies, using modules called NRF modules, which communicate using radio frequencies. After going to the field research, we found out that there was a bit of a problem because the transmitter wasn't getting the signals to the receiver because there was a long distance between them and the walls and everything. It altered the radio frequencies. What I can say about this project is that it was very complicating because it was my very first time working with NRF modules at that time. And fun fact is that I remember being awake at 3 a.m. in the morning. Me and Mr. Ali, he was at his home and I was at my home. I was coding the thing. I was up there until 3 a.m. in the morning, chatting with Mr. Ali, asking him where did we get it wrong because everything was just not going okay. And then at the end I figured it out, and it was just 2 lines of codes, and it was really funny. I told Mr. Ali the next day, we were just laughing. It was the first time getting exposed to that type of technology, but I figured it out and I did it. I've become more like him because I've stayed with him for a long time, and to me it was more than just doing internship. It was helping out. That is what fascinated me more, because we did projects that were basically helping the society that we're living in.
Coming into community development, Lillian and her team are a group of women who do tailoring. I was introduced to them by the community development officer of Tanga and said, if you have certain skill sets that they could benefit from you because they're going through some rough times, can you create something for them? I took 2 of the leaders, Lillian and Zakia, to Dar es Salaam to get training, to learn the different types of finishing they could do and the products that they could build. They were able to make some really beautiful pouches or handbags. Coming into mobility and transport, so the idea was obviously to assemble locally electric motorcycles. We made 3 bicycles, of which 2 have already been gone to Arusha. 1 is here in Tanga, we use for training purposes. But the third area we were focusing on was people with disabilities. I think you'll see majority of them have these hand-based pedals or tricycles, right? And I feel it's a struggle. So we said, let's make an electric tricycle that's not only cost-effective but also affordable. But now, how do we ensure that these people get access to these things if they don't have enough money? And this is where we've been sitting with the city council and the banks, because they would be able to create a fair enough system where people who have jobs could pay a small amount of money every month to cover the cost of the vehicle. Anytime there's a breakdown, we will do it for free at no cost. But passion, innovation, community, youth, impact, sustainability, and scalability. These are the few heavy elements that really describe who we are and what we're trying to do. This is the story of TOIO, Tanzania Open Innovation Organization. And our objective basically is to create community-led solutions, at the same time solutions that are solving challenges in any sector in the community today. We want people to learn that these are the tools and resources that can aid you in your work to make you more efficient, more productive, right? And these are the kind of skills that people would look for in you. So we want them to take a step back, relax, come, explore these things we want to offer them, learn from it. And then from there, you never might end up saying, hey, I think I can do this on my own. Let's get started then. That's the objective. My dream at the end of the day, die a legend, leave a legacy behind. And I want to be a person who tells a story to my grandkids or to the community if I get old. This is the story of the maker movement in Tanga, right from its grassroots, from where you and I are sitting to where it is now.